What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Trust Your Board podcast. My name's Stephen Wright, joined by Mr. William Monroe. How you doing, Will?
Steve, doing well. First full season of training camp in the books, and I was lucky enough to get tickets to go down and watch the Eagles play live. So I saw the Jets and Eagles play on Friday evening for first preseason game.
Oh, yeah? How was that?
It was awesome. It's good to just be back in the stadium, be in there with feeling the crowd, and obviously worked out overall pretty well for the Eagles. First team defense looked really good. First team offense looked good. Outside of one hit on Hurts, late hit out of bounds, but he popped right back up, so can't argue there. Outside of that, it went really well.
Yeah, that's good. That is good. I believe that's a hit that the Jets coaching staff went and apologized for.
Yeah,
I saw something. Yeah, it was that hit, right?
There was something, and it was that, and then I think it was the Eagles head coach was kind of like yelling across the field, and then afterwards he's like, I know Robert Saleh, he's a good guy, it was heat of the moment, but I know it wasn't on purpose. So yeah, I think it was, both teams are the same way, especially with the Jets starting quarterback Wilson getting hurt on non-contact injury. You never want to see any quarterback get hurt, so I'm sure both teams, look to the other side, and while they want their own guy to get hurt, they surely in preseason don't want to injure somebody else.
Yeah, when something like that happens, emotions are on edge and all that jazz. So
exactly.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, I got a little bit of breaking news for you here. Not major news, but Schefter retweeted it out. Sean McVay says that both Cam Akers and Darrell Henderson are dealing with soft tissue injuries. Neither will practice until they can get to full speed in team drills, but did not set a timeline for either.
Well, neither of them are really on my list, so that doesn't really impact me at all.
Yeah, I think I was maybe coming around a little more on Henderson just because I was realizing how late he was going. And I think it could be a pretty even split, but got to have them both healthy before you see that happen.
Yep, 100%. So that's a good note. We can jump in. We got a 14-team mock draft for everyone today, our last 14-team one of the year. But before we jump into it, we're going to do something a little bit different, and we're just going to talk quickly about some people that we are personally rising and fading on throughout the season, because we're finding that there are people that we liked maybe in June that we don't like now, or liked in July and don't like now. And as I'm saying this word, Will, I'm remembering somebody that was fading on that I should have wrote down. We were talking about struggling to some degree, and now I'm remembering one of those old ones. So maybe I'll throw that out as a bonus at the end. But Will, how about you start us off? Give us somebody you're either rising or fading.
Yeah, someone I'm rising on, and it's been a few weeks now, rising on was Courtland Sutton. I think going into training camp, I was higher on Judy than Sutton. But just camp reports, just how they're looking, and just overall, being a more established receiver, I think Courtland Sutton's probably going to come out as the 1A, if not the overall one on the team. In a great situation with Russell Wilson. I know we were both high on Wilson coming into the year in redraft, and really high on a lot of the weapons, but it sure seems like Courtland Sutton's going to be the guy there. So he's someone that I've been rising on, and someone that I'm kind of targeting, right around his ADP. I'm trying to look it up here. 45 right now here on Fantasy Pros. So you're looking at getting him somewhere in the 4th round. So, solid if you're trying to stay even and getting him as your wide receiver too.
Solid. I will stick with the theme here. I've been rising on Saquon a little bit. This is more of a this year and long-term rising, because I've never been, that big. I've always been more down on Barkley than the rest of the community. Point to me, I guess. But I've been coming around on him this year, because I've started, the same kind of pessimistic outview that I typically have on him. But I've come around to the fact that, his injury in the middle of the season was kind of a fluke. He should be fully healed from whatever it was, ACL the year before. I don't even recall. It wasn't ACL, right?
Yeah, I believe it was an ACL.
So that should be fully healed. I would like to think the offense is going to be a little bit better. New coaching staff, offensive coordinator you could believe in. I want to believe that maybe some check down stuff would be there. It's not going to be veteran Eli Manning levels, but Daniel Jones is entering year, what, 4, 3, 4. Like, he's not a rookie anymore, and he should be learning to check it down. As long as the guy can hold on to his job, like, I don't know. But I'd like to think he could check it out a little bit more, so maybe those pass catches come. So in the second round is my second RB. Maybe first if I come away with a Cup or a Jefferson or something. I'm coming around to that idea and being happy with it.
Yeah, well, I'll move over to the fading side. Someone that I've been fading here, and it stinks because he's on our dynasty team, is Najee Harris for redraft.
Ouch.
Yeah, just the where he's going in the first round. I just he still could catch a ton of passes, but I don't think the offense is going to be as good. And part of the reason that I've kind of faded throughout the offseason Derrick Henry a bit is just can they be truly that RB1 when they're on an offense that's just not going to be as explosive or not going to move the ball as much. So it's just quarterback situation I don't love. We'll see. The receivers seem to be playing fairly well, but going currently as the 5th overall player here on Fantasy Pros. I mean, maybe if he falls into the second in some scenarios, but I don't think I'll get much redraft of him if he's going in the middle of the first.
Yeah, I get that. For fading for me, it's gonna be James Conner. I worry about touchdown regression. I worry about his efficiency not being very good last year. I was high on him earlier because he was like early 3rd round. He's the only guy in Arizona. Arizona's a good offense. Like, the story's definitely there, and that hasn't changed. But I just worry about the efficiency. And, if the touchdowns come down quite a bit and, the pass catching work maybe goes to, or, something else, like he doesn't get a meaningful bump from Chase leaving, I could see it being disappointing. At the same time, I fully recognize you can still be a 1 for sure. With all the touchdowns and on that offense, the efficiency scares me. I could see something falling off there, and he's always an injury risk. A lot of running backs are, but he's got quite a bit of history. So yeah, I've been fading on him a little bit. He hasn't really played a factor in any of my plans anymore.
Yeah, it's fair. Getting back over to people we're rising on. For me, it's a couple of guys here, a couple of running backs. I'll go with one that I think we didn't have the opportunity to draft last year because he was injured, and that's Travis Etienne. He was someone I was a little hesitant on because he's almost a rookie when you consider it, because he didn't really play at all last year. Had some training camp, but the situation. It seems like Doug Peterson's doing really well with Trevor Lawrence. He's going to be a favorite target of Lawrence, given that they have multiple years going back to college playing together. He seems to be working out well, and I think you may be getting a little bit of a discount on him with James Robinson playing a little bit more in camp. But it seems like they're saying he's currently only running straight line. So, I mean, it doesn't seem like he's going to be, fully ready in time. But maybe that scares some people off, and you can get Etienne a little lower. I think he's going to catch a ton of passes. And if he, can get at least 50% of the work, let's say, or half the work on the running downs, he's definitely going to be someone that you can target and feel confident in. You're probably getting him as your 3rd running back, maybe 2nd running back if you're going running back or receiver early on. Looks like he's currently here in full PPR RB3 or 36 going at the end of the 3rd round, beginning of the 4th round. So not bad for 12-team league, but definitely someone that I've been rising on there, Travis Etienne.
He didn't make my list, but yeah, I've been moving it up on him. A rising on my end. I actually wrote 2, but one of them I haven't really done anything about, so I'll give you Juju. Most of the early offseason, I was pretty much on MVS because he was just cheaper. He was cheaper. He got the bigger money deal. So I was like, okay, well, given the draft costs, I'll just throw my dart at MVS. But the more the reports come out and, Juju's ADP isn't skyrocketing or anything, I think he's becoming a good shot to take for the Kansas City offense. I feel like I've drafted him in one of our mocks. I don't know if I'd actually still pull the trigger on him because I am worried that offense is just kind of spread it around and nobody emerges as that new Tyreek Hill kind of a role. So I don't know if I'd act on the rising, but I am rising on him and open to draft him in the right situation.
Yeah, I think he seems like he's probably the guy in that receiving core.
Yeah,
It
you'd
could be
think. And we got
anyone, but
history with him.
yeah,
He's actually done
exactly.
it
He's
before,
had
yeah.
years that he's done
Yeah,
it. Exactly.
100%. Okay, well, we
Yeah.
got one more fading
One more
each.
fading, and this one feels weird to say, but he's been around for a long time. But Mr. Tom Brady, he's someone that we were targeting a lot, and he's still the value's still there for him. But I don't know. I mean, if you don't have Godwin there early, you're banking on. I mean, you have injured Russell Gage. You're banking on Julio, some of these tight ends not named Gronk, to step up outside of Mike Evans and Fournette. And then the fact that he's away from the team here for a personal reason. If anybody's going to be ready without much need for practice, it's Brady. But he doesn't have the rushing upside to be able to make up for a lack of passing game or targets that he can deal around. So I think if they maybe try to go a little more conservative, run the ball more, I could see Tampa changing it up. I mean, you don't have Bruce Arians in control anymore, so I think it's definitely a little concerning there. Maybe I'm looking more Trey Lance, more Russell Wilson in those scenarios than Brady, but definitely someone that I was highly targeting, and I think it's definitely lower a little bit on him now.
Yeah, and one for me, somebody I was targeting a fair bit early on was David Montgomery, and I'm fading on him a bit. He was another one, and I think when we started doing mocks in June, he was early third round. Now I believe he's early fourth, which is interesting because I'm fading him. Everyone seems to be fading him, but he's a round cheaper now, which is kind of nice. But I liked him as a volume play, as a good running back, and somebody that should be getting a lot of the work. But I've just come around to the offense being really bad. Khalil Herbert just getting a ton of good reviews. It could force some sort of split there. But just down on like the overall offense, the new coaching staff, you really don't know what's going to happen. They could come in and maybe it's a running back by committee and things just kind of change up. You don't know. So I'm not really factoring him in now. Early fourth, maybe. Like you were saying earlier, if you start early running back, like maybe you start with Aaron Jones, then you get two running or wide receivers, and then Montgomery's maybe your two at the top of the fourth, maybe. But I'm not too interested. I'd rather grab, to your point, ETN, who I believe is still going a little bit after David Montgomery. Give me him, give me Breece Hall, that upside that Montgomery doesn't really have anymore.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Cool. And with that's going to conclude those risers and fallers. Will, you ready to start the mock?
Yeah, let's get started here. I think I'll be at the 4, and you'll be all the way down at the 14. So we'll see if we ever get to one of your picks, Steve.
Yeah, a lot of reading to do between these two. We'll see if we get to me. But yeah, it looks like CMC, Jonathan Taylor, and Eckler went off the board 1, 2, 3. No surprise there. You are on the clock, friend.
Yeah, and where I've been looking, I think Kupp was probably the guy I'm usually going with here. Given that it's a 14-team league, though, and I'm not going to be picking again until pick 24-ish, 25, with just how many players are here, I think I need to go running back. I'd feel more comfortable in a 14-team league getting a running back here in Dalvin Cook. Now, if Cook was available, maybe from the 5th pick, then I probably feel a little better going with a Kupp or a Jefferson over a Harris or Henry, guys that I mentioned as fading. But Cook is still someone that I don't think I've gone up on him, but definitely haven't gone down. I've got him as my 4th running back, and more than happy to nab him here and then just lock up that first running back position. So we'll draft him. Anybody you're anticipating or looking at there or hoping?
No, I don't know what's gonna really get to me. I'm not gonna count. It's like 10 people, so I'm assuming I'm looking at that kind of Diggs, Aaron Jones kind of realm. We'll see.
You do get 2 back-to-back, so that is always helpful.
Yeah, it is.
So
28 picks before I get to go again.
Then Dalvin Cook, I go Justin Jefferson goes 5. DeAndre Swift off to 6. Derrick Henry 7. Cooper Kupp, Stephon Diggs, Jamar Chase, back-to-back, all the way to 10. Najee Harris, 11. Joe Mixon, 12. And then Devontae Adams down to 13 for you.
Yeah, so plenty of good options here. Kelsey would be interesting. That gives me an elite tight end, gives me an advantage over everyone else in this league. Um, that's a lot of weeks of me beating up on a bad or a team with a bad tight end or
Yeah,
an
I
average
mean, you
tight
got
end.
what 5 to 8 that you're comfortable with, really. So
Yeah,
more than
yeah,
half the league is
100%.
probably going to have a not so happy tight end.
Yeah, so big positional advantage. I don't know that I could pull the trigger because I don't want to wait. I'd rather when I'm on the turn, I like grabbing one a running back and one wide receiver, but it's such a long wait. I feel like I got to grab two running backs. So Aaron Jones is a lock. I will say nothing more on Aaron Jones. I'm really high on him this year. Um, just the overall offense is really going to flow through him. I can see him getting a lot of work. I'm not worried about him splitting with Dylan. I'd imagine, with all of that, he's still going to be a top guy. And if Dylan goes down, even better. So we'll lock him in to start. The other one, CeeDee Lamb, I'm not really considering. I'm looking at, again, Saquon, good volume option, but then Kamara's here as well. And with the news of the suspension most likely not coming this year and coming next year, that boosts him up. We see him flying up the ADP. He was one of the ones of like, yeah, I'm rising on Kamara, but so is everyone else on the planet. So there's no point in talking about it. So I think I am going to go ahead and pull the trigger on Kamara there, lock in two running backs, and then see what gets back to me. I'd really like to add Kelsey and just get that elite tight end advantage. I just can't wait 28 picks to pick another running back. I don't even know what I would be looking at. Kelsey and ETN?
But that's going to be everyone in this type of draft.
It
Even if
will
you
be,
get one
yeah.
early, it's just 14 teams.
Yeah.
There's just
I
not
guess,
that top 12, right?
you
No
know
one's
what?
going to have many.
We're here to experiment. We'll experiment. Travis Kelsey will be the pick. We'll see what gets back to me and how everything shakes out. As I click it, I kind of regret it.
Yeah,
The deed is done. So CeeDee Lamb went, Nick Chubb, Javonte Williams, Saquon Barkley, Josh Allen, first quarterback, 206. Kamara finally, Fournette, Debo, Mark Andrews right before you. You are back up.
Yeah, so a lot of running backs go. A couple of running backs that I was hoping would get back to me here. In a Javonte Williams or a Chubb. Surprised they went ahead of Barkley and Kamara. But makes sense. A lot of running backs are going to be drafted here. So if I want to get a running back, I probably have to go here because if we're looking down, the next available are Connor, Ezekiel Elliott, ETN, Breece Hall, Dave Montgomery. So I think Zeke would probably be the only one I'd be interested in. And it is the end of the second round, but you still have some pretty big time receivers: Mike Evans, Tyreek Hill, Keenan Allen, Pittman, T. Higgins. So those top four would be kind of what I'd be looking at. It's probably, do I just lean in, grab Evans because he's probably going to be really the main target, as I mentioned earlier, or do I grab the running back with Zeke and wait a little bit on receiver? Probably still getting a good receiver, but maybe not a top end one like Evans. So I think I'll try to keep the balance here in the 14-team league. And, we'll see if Zeke gets back. Probably not. I imagine Connor and Zeke both go with 3 teams, each having 3 picks. But could look to a David Montgomery, Breece Hall, Travis Etienne here in the next round. So we'll lock in Mike Evans first. Tyreek Hill, Keenan Allen, James Conner at the end of the second. Patrick Mahomes, another quarterback off the board. T. Higgins and Ezekiel Elliott. So just
one spot away.
Me. Yeah. Now I don't think Mike Evans would have gotten back. So not too bummed about it. But what is interesting is Pittman got back here. And as I mentioned, wanted to get some running backs. You got to start 2 running backs, 2 receivers. But Pittman is a pretty high upside guy here. You still got Kyle Pitts, tight end. Looking at Kittle, Waller, that whole group. All your quarterbacks outside of those top 2 that have been drafted. And then running backs, we're looking at Breece Hall, Travis Etienne, David Montgomery, Cam Akers, Antonio Gibson, receiver, Pittman, AJ Brown, DJ Moore. So really at this point trying to anticipate what I would get on the comeback, right? You're probably looking down at the Gibson, Josh Jacobs, Mitchell range when it comes to running backs and receivers, Mooney, Cooper, Hollywood. So feeling a little more comfortable, I think, at the receiver position than the running back position here. So I'm going to go with one of the guys that I was just talking up there, Travis Etienne. Brees Hall, pretty close for me there as well, but in a 14-team league, I think you need to hit on an upside guy. So like Hall and Etienne are the players. Montgomery is also interesting, but I think this is a spot where you need to hit on these guys if you're going to be one of those top teams in a 14-team league. So I'm going to take the upside shot here of ETN, full PPR, so I anticipate him catching a ton of passes as well, as I mentioned. So we'll lock in ETN here as my second running back. Cam Akers goes, A.J. Brown, Deontay Johnson, Jalen Waddle, DJ Moore, Justin Herbert, Michael Pittman, Kyle Pitts, DK Metcalf. So you definitely caught a break there in running backs after this few went off the board on you.
I did. I was hoping that ETN managed to get to me, so thank you for that. And the problem I'm having right now is I'm not in love with my situation. I like Brees Hall. I like the upside of Brees Hall, but I'm worried about the length of time it's going to take to get to that upside. So I wouldn't mind pairing him with like a David Montgomery, who, like I said, I'm fading on, but is a still good volume play. But then I don't want to wait 28 more picks to get a wide receiver.
Yeah, you haven't gotten to any yet.
Yeah, so that is a problem. So I think what I end up doing is I skip down the ADP a little bit. If Brees Hall is fine. I have no problem if you would pick Brees Hall here. Montgomery, too boring. No upside. Gibson, kind of the same thing now. Dobbins, too many questions. Josh Jacobs, same thing as the other ones. Too boring. I will skip down to Elijah Mitchell. San Francisco, explosive offense, had a great rookie season. I think he's someone that, if he could stay healthy, could be a 1 and a high 1 at that, if he can manage to stay healthy. So I think he's got some high upside to him. He's got a really good floor being in San Francisco. It's a bit of a gamble, but a lot of running backs are anymore. So he's going to be the one that I'm going to grab a little bit of head of ADP. Again, everyone I named was above him. But
yeah,
given
but it's
the
one of
situation,
those,
he's
he's not getting back to you at that stage.
Yeah, 100%. So then I turn my attention to the wide receiver position. Terry McLaurin's here. I'm not super interested. Brandon Cooks, solid. But I don't want him as my 1 when I have someone like Courtland Sutton or Mike Williams here. I like both of them more for their upside potential. Between the two, I like Mike Williams more, given we've seen it from him for a longer period of time, and he's got more continuity in the offense of this quarterback. He doesn't need to establish a bigger rapport. There's less question marks. Like, we both like Sutton, but if it's not Sutton and it's Judy, it's not a big surprise to anybody. So I'm going with Mike Williams. I'm pretty confident with him as my 1. And then the long wait begins again. So we've locked in Mike Williams. David Montgomery does go. Terry McLaurin, Courtland Sutton, Antonio Gibson, Brees Hall, Allen Robinson, Brandon Cooks, George Kittle, and J.K. Dobbins.
Yeah, so a lot of guys I was looking at, most of them went off the board there. Unfortunately, would have been nice, as you were mentioning there, seeing like Courtland Sutton, Mike Williams, both of them. Obviously, Sutton would have been nice to get back. Brees Hall got pretty far there, actually. And Brandon Cooks, somebody that we both like a lot. But alas, they are off the board. So we're looking. Lamar Jackson's interesting. Don't usually like to go early quarterback, especially in this type of league. You probably want to go early tight end over early quarterback. But Steve's the top guy on the board here. If we're looking at running backs, Josh Jacobs probably makes the most sense. I mean, maybe Miles Sanders, A.J. Dillon, Chase Edmonds, Kareem Hunt. So does drop off a little bit there. I look behind me, and then there are 2 teams that already have 2 running backs. One only has 1 running back. So I would anticipate, probably at least 2 to 4 go. I'm going to be okay with Jacobs, Dillon, or Sanders. So it really comes down to if I really want to get a running back, do I grab one of them here? Or am I okay with a Kareem Hunt, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Damian Harris a little bit later? Because the other option would be going with a tight end and like a Waller or a Schultz, or take another receiver. We have Hollywood Brown, Darnell Mooney, Amari Cooper, Michael Thomas. Only have the 1 receiver currently. So I think, the receiver I'd be looking at would be Mooney, but I just think Josh Jacobs is probably the highest, upside option here with a good floor, especially in this type of league. As I mentioned, I think in a 14-team league, I'd prioritize running back a little bit more and want to get that third one out of the way here. So we'll go ahead and grab Josh Jacobs and see which of these receivers and or tight ends get back. Look at that. No running backs go. Wow, this is interesting. Michael Thomas, Kyler Murray, and then Darnell Mooney. And to end the fourth round, Mark Cooper, Darren Waller, Rashad Bateman. So some solid receivers off the board. We had Waller and Kyler Murray go, which is nice to see two quarterbacks behind me on the turn there. So now I'm in a good spot where if I do get to a quarterback or two that I like, I could probably wait to the back half of one of my turn picks here. But that does leave a couple of running backs that I would not mind that are still on the board here with AJ Dillon and Miles Sanders, as well as receivers. Hollywood Brown still there, I think, is a really good pick. And Chris Godwin obviously would have been nice had I not had Mike Evans. I feel like we're not sure when he's going to be ready. I could, there's still a chance that he's ready early, and you're able to get him at a pretty steep discount because of the injury. So wouldn't hate that pick, but for me, it's gonna come down to Hollywood Brown or one of these running backs, and I think I'm gonna lean with one of the running backs, and it's tough with AJ Dillon and Miles Sanders because I think Sanders is going to get majority of the work. He's obviously the top dog there, whereas Dillon is the number 2, but it could be a pretty heavy run offense. I'm going to lean Miles Sanders here over AJ Dillon just because I think he is going to be the one, and it is a run heavy offense. And I think last year was a run heavy offense. We think they're going to pass a little bit more, but I still think they're going to have a pretty heavy run, and he's going to catch some balls. Whereas AJ Dillon was on a pass heavy offense that's probably going to run more. But that's just anticipations. I want to go with the track record there. So I'm going to go with a fourth running back here. And we'll see where receivers get back to me. It's really going to test the receiver depth here. But I would love to get these 4 running backs in a 14-team league here with already having Mike Evans on the team. So Miles Sanders here going with a very running back heavy team. And after I take Miles Sanders, Jerry Jeudy goes, Kareem Hunt, Hollywood Brown, Lamar Jackson, Dalton Schultz, Hunter Renfrow, Alan Lazard, DeAndre Hopkins, and Chase Edmonds. Oh man, how much does it stink that you took Aaron Jones now and you can't take AJ Dillon?
Yeah, I'm really not happy how this run just went. I was thinking, okay, well, I'll have to debate between Miles Sanders and Kareem Hunt, which is funny because like Sanders is somebody that I considered for my fade. And Kareem Hunt, somebody that I consider for rising. So I was happy when you took Miles because that made the decision easier. And I was looking at the ADPs like, yeah, Kareem could get to me. And then I'm just watching and just nobody at the top of the ADP list went. And then like finally we get to like Dalton Schultz. I stopped paying attention. I'm like, okay, let me see. Where's Chase Edmonds on this list? And of course, one before me,
just
Mr. Chase Edmonds goes. Yeah, so I'm not thrilled with that. At the running back position, we got AJ Dillon, who I don't want since I got Aaron Jones. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who is also boring. And a lot of hype going to the rookie he's slipping my mind. Whatever. 7th round rookie. He's getting a lot of hype. Split a lot of carries in preseason. Damian Harris, who previously was like a slam dunk here, but now has trade rumors around him. Tony Pollard's not a bad bet. Devin Singletary's fine. Penny's hurt per the usual. So things are kind of messy. That Kelsey pick was not.
That's why we do.
That's why we don't do it.
Yeah, but that's why you test it out so you can really see how it feels.
Yeah, for real. So maybe I'll just draft two wide receivers here. I mean, I see Juju here. He's pretty high up.
Zagging, right?
Yeah, exactly. I think I'll take. I'm looking at Juju. He's an option. Godwin, maybe. I haven't have you followed the news? Like, is he still trending for week 1? Do we know any of
As
that
of
yet?
now, he's trending for week 1. I mean, obviously it could be a little bit, less than that, but I think it was just, a week or two ago he returned to practice and he's working his way back in. So I think he's ahead of schedule. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe they hold him out a week or two, but he absolutely seems like he could be a steal, especially for you getting him as your second receiver at this late in the game,
It's a big roll of the dice.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, if he misses like 2 weeks, it's not that big of a deal. So I think he is the first time I think I've drafted him all year. But he seems like he's ready to go. And like you said, I think it makes sense for this team. I'm looking at Juju. Interesting. Amon-Ra St. Brown is interesting. Both got some decent kind of upside to them. Elijah Moore. Thielen is someone that I was considering for my rising list too. I'm just kind of rising on that offense as a whole, and Thielen kind of rises with that. Brandon Ayuk's down here. He's having a great camp. He just still scares me just because I don't trust the pass. They can't support 3 pass catchers in San Francisco. Now Trey Lance, it just ain't going to happen. So he's going to be more like your long bomb every once in a while kind of a guy, I think. So that kind of worries me. So this is not a fun spot because nobody's really jumping off at me at the wide receiver position. Nobody's jumping off at me at the running back position. So maybe I will zig. It seems like such a dumb idea to go kind of early at tight end and then grow with like Jalen Hurts right now. I don't think I could do that.
Could have positional advantages at each position.
I could at the least important ones. I really don't think I could do it. I'm going to have to go with another wide receiver, and I'll take my shot on Juju. It should be a high-powered offense. He seems like he's the guy coming out of training camp. Like I said before, we've seen good years from him before, and his bad years are with a quarterback carousel involving Mason Rudolph, an old Big Ben with a ton of receiving options. So I'm willing to overlook that. So I'll go ahead and take Juju here, and we'll see what kind of running backs get back to me after 28 picks. Joe Burrow goes Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jalen Hurts, Adam Thielen, A.J. Dillon, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Gabriel Davis, Elijah Moore, Tom Brady. I'm happy with that run. You are back on the clock.
Yeah, Elijah Moore would have been nice. That was kind of the one I was hoping for. But alas, not the case. So I'm looking at either going with a tight end or a receiver. Receiver, pretty easily be Devonta Smith here. You have Brandon Ayuk, Drake London, Tyler Lockett, Christian Kirk. At tight end, TJ Hawkinson, Dallas Goedert, Zach Ertz. Then, you get that drop off there. So would be one of the last top tight ends. And should I get one of them there, there's 2 teams behind me that don't have a tight end yet. So another option would be looking at the quarterback position, and there is 2 quarterbacks gone. So Russell Wilson, Dak Prescott both make sense. So I think the idea here would be to kind of punt the tight end position a bit, go with the receiver, and then take either Russell or Dak here. The next pick, granted that one of these 2 teams behind me don't take a second quarterback. So I've been talking about most of the offseason. Devonta Smith is, back at practice. He didn't play in the first preseason game, but he was back at practice Sunday and looked really good. A lot of the reports were one of his best practices at camp. So I would imagine he'll be fine, and we will be able to get him as my wide receiver 2, especially having 4 big-time running backs on the team already. And then we'll see what quarterbacks are here. No will go. Awesome. So Russell will probably be the pick, but TJ Hawkinson goes next. Damian Harris, Brandon Ayuk, Treylon Burks, Drake London, and Robert Woods. So Hawkinson was really the alternative pick there, but being able to pivot from that, still get one a top tier quarterback from my consideration with Russell Wilson, and just kind of punt that tight end position here and just build up depth with the other ones. It's going to be the play. So Russell Wilson, Dak Prescott, Trey Lance, Rodgers, still some good ones on the board, but got to imagine that they're going to start going soon. It looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of the 14 teams have quarterback, and there's 6 more that have to go. And compared to our 12-team leagues that we do, or 10-team leagues, not going to be as many that we like available. So going to go ahead and jump down on that here and grab Russell Wilson. And yeah, a couple do go here. So Russell Wilson here at the 704. Tyler Lockett goes next. Trey Lance and Dak Prescott back to back. There's Tony, Chase Claypool, Christian Kirk, Garrett Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, and Devin Singletary. So some running backs got back to you if you were hoping for that.
I was hoping for it, but I still look at the list and I have no idea what I'm going to do. And then I was thinking, oh, well, I'll grab a running back in Trey Lance. And now Trey Lance is gone because apparently he's not the value he was just a few weeks ago.
Not anymore.
So I'm not thrilled. So we have how many teams with a quarterback or without a quarterback? We got one. Team
only a few now, right? Yeah.
Yeah, just one, which is fine. So I can wait. I'm going to grab two running backs here. Wide receivers, we're looking at Russell Gage, Chris Olave, Jacoby Myers, Tyler Boyd, Sky Moore. I'm just not interested in any of these options here. We got Tony Pollard, who I do find interesting, and I think they're going to be utilizing a lot, especially with all the injuries, the wide receiver issues. I can see him getting a large pass-catching role. Penny, I'm not interested in. Singletary, I was, to some degree. Normally, I don't like Cordarrelle Patterson, but he is now on the radar. Melvin Gordon, somebody that seems like a slam dunk, but I'm kind of fading on a little bit just because now he's hurt, and that's just going to give more time for Javonte to establish himself. Ramondre Stevenson could be a big win here, especially if they trade Damian Harris. Like, his success in camp is what is fueling that Damian Harris trade gossip. And then Ken Walker would be the beneficiary of Penny being hurt again for the 6th year in a row. So I had no one in mind. Like, I wasn't waiting, hoping somebody got to me. But I am happy with some of the options. So I think I'm going to do oh man, this is a terrible decision, but I'm going to take a New England running back. Never something you want to trust, but I'm going to do it. So we're going to get Ramondre Stevenson there. And then of these, I'm not doing Penny. I really don't trust Patterson. Not after how he fell apart in the back end of the year. I'm just not thrilled with that. Kenneth Walker could be the big winner here. If Penny is down and he's the guy, he's got a 3-down set on a team that wants to run the ball. That makes a lot of sense. But I think Pollard is going to be the guy I'm going to draft. We've been seeing him get better and his usage growing with each year. There's always concerns about Zeke as he's getting older and declining a little bit. Again, good pass catching role there. So I'm feeling kind of safe with Pollard. So I'm going to grab him up. I'm not feeling any more comfortable at the running back position, but I've added two. Devontae Parker goes. He is another one that seems to be rising, which is a shame because he was a favorite of mine late. Tyler Boyd, Patterson, Rashad Penny, Russell Gage, Chris Olave, Ken Walker, Dallas Goedert, DJ Chark. You're up.
Yeah, a lot of guys off the board there. The receiver position definitely not top value, at least here. Still some decent options, but none that are high on the value marks. Still have some tight ends in Zach Ertz and Pat Freiermuth, Cole Kmet. And then looking at running back, we've got Melvin Gordon, James Cook, Nyheim Hines, Carter, Patterson. So definitely a little bit more of a drop-off there. When I look at the board, though, there are two teams behind me that have a tight end, so really be only competing with team one for tight end. If I wanted a running back, let's say, probably want to get it on the front end. But most of the teams behind me do have receivers already, too, so I think there's probably less of a threat to get one of the top receivers than it would be for me to get Zach Ertz back. And I think Ertz is kind of the top guy here for me. Still an explosive offense. He looks good when he was back last year. We have DeAndre Hopkins out to start the year, and who knows about Hollywood Brown. So Ertz is going to be the pick here for me. Just usually I'd kind of wait that turn and try to get the value on him coming back, but there's just no receivers that call out to me that much, and I imagine running backs are going to go anyway. So I think we'll be able to get some to sneak through. So we're going to draft Zach Ertz here. After him, Matt Stafford, Michael Gallup, Sky Moore, Jacoby Myers, Michael Carter, and Melvin Gordon. So team one going with 6 straight wide receivers after starting running back, quarterback.
Bold strategy there.
Yeah, it's interesting. But back to me here, we've got the receiver position, which is really where I'm looking. I got 4 running backs. I've got my quarterback and tight end. So really, only going to look running back and receiver, but there's really not a ton of backs here that I love. I mean, Daryl Henderson isn't bad. A little further down, Dameon Pierce, it would be interesting as well. But if I'm looking at the receiver position, it does dry up pretty quickly, so I don't know that there's a ton of value there. Pierce might be the pick, even though it seems like it can only start 3 running backs, I guess, not 4, because I know it bumped Miles Sanders down to my bench.
Yeah, this would be our standard league.
Gotcha.
Here, so 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, 1 wide receiver tight end flex, 1 wide receiver running back flex.
Yeah, so it maybe looks a little strange, but for me, I think I'm just going with the value. I'm going to go with another running back here in Dameon Pierce. So I've only got 2 receivers, but none of them really stand out a ton to me. Rondale Moore, MVS, Jarvis Landry, Kenny Golladay. I'm going to just go with a couple of later guys likely to fill out the back of the roster and hope that I can hit on one of them. Or, load up on running backs because you're going to have trade value there. By getting this running back, it'll be my 5th running back with Cook, Etienne, Josh Jacobs, Miles Sanders, and Dameon Pierce now, especially if he can hit. So I'm going to lock in Dameon Pierce as my 5th running back. After Pierce, got a little bit of a running back run here. James Cook, Nyheim Hines, Darrell Henderson, James Robinson, Alexander Madison, Dawson Knox, MVS, Kenneth Gainwell, and Julio.
Okay, so Will, in a complete vacuum, because I was going to bring this up in Rising and Falling because I don't know if I'm actually rising on them. In a vacuum, you're in the 9-13. Doesn't matter what your team is. Would you draft Julio Jones?
I mean, 9-13 is like, what pick is that in total? Like hundreds, probably. Yeah. Because you're looking at 140, so minus, you're looking at probably in the mid 120s. Yeah, I don't hate that. I mean, obviously if you don't have any Tampa players already or Tampa receivers already, I take a shot on him. I would probably want to take a shot on like a younger upside receiver than Julio. But yeah, I don't hate it.
Yeah, I'm around the same idea. So I don't need to draft a quarterback. This is where you kind of got to know your league and see if anyone's going to draft a backup. I don't think Fantasy Pros is going to do it. So I'm going to wait a little bit. We got a nice upside play in Rondale Moore. If you want to take a shot there, Jarvis Landry is getting a lot of great reports out of camp, but so is Chris Olave and so is Michael Thomas, and they all can't be fantasy relevant all the time. So I don't know if I want to do that. Kenny Golladay is starting to become interesting to me because he's so late. But there's not a lot of upside here. Dotson, Mecole Hardman, but I already got Juju, so I'm not going to take a shot there. George Pickens, maybe, but that's a crowded field. He seems like a future play. So the wide receiver room really dried up quite badly, and then the running backs, obviously, because we just had a massive run, they all dried up as well. So I'm going to grab one of each. I got Mike Williams, Chris Godwin, Juju. I think what I do want for that team is Jarvis Landry. I want a nice, safe guy that I can rely on in a PPR league. Someone to get me through that first 2 weeks if Godwin's out, or someone I can rely on if Juju's having some up and downs, or Mike Williams is hurt again. I think he fits this team. I really wish I could add some upside, but I guess Juju's kind of my upside play. So let's get him in there as a nice safe option. And then we're going to turn our head back to the running back position. Not a lot to love. Isaiah Spiller is kind of interesting what his role is going to be. Jamal Williams getting a lot of talk. Khalil Herbert, I mentioned earlier. And then you got Mostert. I think Mostert will be the guy I'll take a shot on at the running back position. See if he can carve himself out an interesting role or a touchdown role in what could be a really good offense. So we're going to go ahead and lock him in. With that pick made, we do need to move a little bit quicker. No surprise, given we talked risers and fallers in the beginning, but we do need to blow through some of these picks. Isaiah Spiller, Rondale Moore, J.D. McKissick, Rashad White, Ronald Jones, Van Jefferson, Pat Freiermuth, Kenny Golladay, and Tyler Algier you are on the clock with your 10th pick.
Yeah, so looking at the wide receiver position, and I'm basically just going to be taking some shots at this point, given who's available here. One guy that I trying to decide how to make these picks here. One guy I think I want to take a shot on is someone that you passed on there, and that's George Pickens. I mean, the game, camp, everything points to him looking really good and getting on the field early. I know we're not thrilled about the offense as a whole, but this late in the draft, taking an upside shot on a guy that looks like he could be the steal of the draft, NFL draft itself. So I'm going to take him and then see if I can go with maybe a safer option or a little bit more of a reliable option in the next round. So going with Pickens first here. We got Herbert, Darrell Williams, Mecole Hardman, Mike Gesicki, Romeo Dubes, and Jameson Williams. So of the guys that went, only Mecole Hardman was one I was considering. So Mecole's off the board. We've got at the receiver position Nico Collins, Dotson, Corey Davis, Robbie Anderson, Marvin Jones. But get down to a guy that I liked and we talked about before, KJ Osborne. I think at the very least he's going to be the wide receiver 3 there and going to have some big plays, but could see him stepping in if Adam Thielen takes a step back and he could be the number 2. So we'll lock in KJ Osborne here as my next pick. Get some more depth at that wide receiver position.
What a shame. I was really hoping Brian Robinson got back to me, and it's just was not to be.
Yeah.
I am surprised you didn't grab Cole Kmet to pair with your Zach Ertz.
I mean, I don't know. Even in a league like this, I mean, I just think you're with the depth you need at the other positions with 14 teams. I know if Ertz doesn't work out, I'm grinding the waiver wire as it is. I don't know that Cole Kmet would be that huge of an upgrade from some of the guys that'll be left on the board.
Yeah, and that's definitely fair. So taking a look, there's really not a lot in the world of running backs. Zamir White, maybe. Boston Scott's always catch the passes. Damian Williams, if you think he can carve out a role. McKinnon, Jeff Wilson, but I already got Elijah Mitchell. I had to check. Sermon. It's gross. So we will turn away from that position. We'll take a look at these wide receivers here. I think Nico Collins he's top of the wide receiver board. I think he is going to be one of the guys I draft here. Houston should be throwing the ball plenty. Brandon Cooks can't catch them all. So I'm going to take a shot on Nico stepping up. And then the other one I do, Christian Watson's here. I just don't want to wait to see if he comes along, given he's, not building the rapport right now that he should. So I think the other one I'm going to draft is going to be Wan'Dale Robinson. He looks to be the starter in the slot role. There's some good reports coming out about him. The Giants should have to throw the ball a lot. So as a depth guy, I'm fine holding him for a week or two and seeing what kind of role he has on the team. As I say that, I did really think that I was going to be drafting quarterback this round because I don't want to wait too long because I think most people in their drafts wouldn't wait, but yeah, I'm gonna do it anyway. Cheat the system a little bit. So we'll lock him in. Mark Ingram, Chuba, Tyrion Davis-Price, Sony Michel, Christian Watson, Zamir White, Kenyon Drake, Deontay Foreman, and Johan Dotson go.
All right, back to me here. So as I mentioned, I'm not going to really be looking at backup tight end. Just going to be looking at running back and receiver here. A couple of running backs that I think are interesting: Damian Williams, Dearness Johnson, Rex Burkhead. If I'm looking at the receiver spot, Robbie Anderson, Marvin Jones, Joshua Palmer still here. But one guy that I think I haven't seen too much about, but he's got a chance to come back and be the wide receiver 3 is KJ Hamler. I've got Russell Wilson already. Don't have any Denver weapons. So I think that could be a nice stack to have, especially to be able to pop him in for a week where you need a big upside. And he seems to be full speed as of a week ago in training camp with the loss there of Tim Patrick. It's someone's going to have to step up. They have some other options, but I think KJ Hamler probably has the inside track. And he probably will be discounted in full PPR, given that he's more of an upside, big play receiver. But just to gather that depth at receiver, Going to lock in KJ Kamler here first. After KJ, Amir Abdullah. Didn't expect to see that name, Amir Abdullah. Wow. Miles Gaskins, Mike Davis, Jerick McKinnon, Jalen Tolbert. That's a pretty good pick there. Dallas wide receiver. Could be the wide receiver 2 there. Derek Carr. So back up to me here. And I'm going to go back to the running back position here. I've evened out a bit. And I'm going to look at Damian Williams. I think a lot of people think the rookie Algier is going to take over at some point. You still have Cordell Patterson there, but Damian Williams has proved to be, at least relevant or usable in most places that he's been. And this late in the draft, just getting another shot at running back. If he proves that he's the guy early, great. If not, he's someone that I don't mind moving on from and having that open roster spot for week 1, week 2 waivers. So lock in Damian Williams here. After Williams, Kirk Cousins, Odell Beckham, Cam Brate. We've got some RJ Pirine, Noah Fant, AJ Green, Irv Smith, Sammy Watkins, and David Njoku. Now, I know you waited on the quarterback position. Carr and Kirk were the guys you were looking at.
Kirk was the one I wanted. Carr I would have been happy with, and now I'm not happy because I could have traded in my stupid Nico Collins for the quarterback that I wanted. Like Kirk Cousins, I'm kind of high on. Again, another person I considered for rising, but he's not rising above any of the quarterbacks ahead of him. So again, I don't know what that means. Oh man, that sucks. We got Tua. I've had this conversation on a recent mock where I've gotten burned. It's between Tua, Jameis Winston, probably. Yeah, it's between those two. I think I'm going to go with Jameis. We've seen it before. He's got a ton of weapons around him, and he's going to be my bet. If you want to take a shot on Tua as a young guy that's been equipped, then that's cool. I'm going to go with Jameis. That's disappointing. And then wide receivers, I'm going to just tumble down ADP here and draft Alec Pierce out of Indianapolis, rookie. There are just no other options outside of Pittman. Campbell's look good in camp, but he does that every year and never turns into anything. So maybe Alec Pierce becomes a guy. We're grasping at straws here. There are some other interesting options here, but he'll be my bet. Man. Matt Ryan, Daniel Jones, Kendrick Bourne, Paris Campbell, Hassan Hoskins, Tyler Higbee, Deshaun Watson, 1408. Boy, did he fly up ADP and fly back down in a heartbeat?
How about it?
Yeah.
That might not have been a bad shot to take there. Winston and Watson together for you.
That is true in case the suspension stayed at 8 games, but I couldn't sit in, even if it went to 8, I couldn't hold him and just sit there for 8 games. I don't think I could, but yeah, it could have worked out. Pretty sure he's going to be a full year, but whatever. Tua went, and then Rex Burkhead, you're up with your final pick.
Yeah, some interesting receiver options here, but I'm really looking for who's going to be a guy that could hit big and would be more than okay to cut, kind of like Damian Williams. So from the receiver side, looking at Laviska Shenault, wide receiver in Jacksonville. New coaching regimen, so I don't think any of the guys there, I guess, outside of Christian Kirk, who got paid a lot of money, is guaranteed, to be in the offense and used. So taking Laviska Shenault with kind of the hope that they utilize him a little more than the last regiment did. But if it turns out he doesn't do much, then move on from him as well. So nice upside shot here at the end of the draft. Locking in Laviska Shenault. After Laviska, we have Gerald Everett, Justin Fields, and Boston Scott to end the draft.
What was your grade?
It went away too quickly. I don't know how to get back to it because I had to try to get out of it. I got out of it to read those last few things.
I got an A-.
Really?
Which is very shocking to me.
How can I get back to it? Roster?
Yeah, I am not sure. Oh, if you go, there's a suggestions option.
Suggestions.
Like suggestions,
draft
cheat sheets, draft board. Yeah, and that'll...
got a C+.
Wow.
Must have been you hit, probably rate Kelsey really, really high for you.
Well, you drafted a backup running back before a second wide receiver.
Not realizing couldn't start both of them there as well. So that doesn't help either. Yeah,
Yeah,
ranks
but
pretty low overall.
yeah, your team still looks solid though. Whereas
Yeah.
my team has potential. Like I like it, kind of. It just scares me. But I mean, that's me every time I draft a tight end early.
Hmm.
But let's go ahead. Let's do the rundown. You are in the fourth spot, so we'll let you go first. So, read down your team and tell us what you think.
Yeah. So quarterback Russell Wilson, running back Dalvin Cook, Travis Etienne, Josh Jacobs, Miles Sanders, Damian Pierce, Damian Williams. Wide receiver Mike Evans, Devonta Smith, George Pickens, KJ Osborne, KJ Hamler, man, back to back KJs, and LaVisca Chenault. And then wrapping it up with Zach Ertz. I mean, I don't love it, but it's a 14-team league, so I imagine no one's really going to be thrilled with their team in a 14-teamer. I think it's good overall. I think probably would have to hope I hit on some of these running backs and make a trade for a receiver to kind of upgrade that position. But, pretty happy with the onesie positions of Russell Wilson and Zach Ertz that I got. Not really, didn't have to spend too early of a pick on them either. So I think it would just come down to, can I hit on receiver a little bit more? Whether that's a Pickens hitting, KJ Osborne hitting, or making a trade for one of the running backs with one of the running backs I have. What about you? How you feeling?
As I stare at this team, I'm actually starting to like it. So drafting the 14th spot, quarterback Jameis Winston. Not thrilled about that part. Running backs Aaron Jones, Elijah Mitchell, Ramondre Stevenson, Tony Pollard, Raheem Mostert. Wide receivers Mike Williams, Chris Godwin, Juju, Jarvis Landry, Nico Collins, Wan'Dale Robinson, and then at tight end Travis Kelce. If it was a real draft, I would have never let Kirk Cousins get by me. So I'm okay overlooking that. Again, I'm fine with Winston. He's a gunslinger, so that could be good for fantasy. I'm really worried about the running back position, but you only have to start two. So like if I'm thinking, Aaron Jones, Elijah Mitchell, Mike Williams, Chris Godwin, and then a flex of Juju and Stevenson or Pollard or Landry, like whoever works out in that group, and then Travis Kelce, that sounds pretty good to me, actually. There's some risk with the Godwin injury. Mike Williams gets hurt a lot. We don't know what's going to happen with Juju. Elijah Mitchell gets hurt. So there's a lot of risk in this team. But, I roll the dice sometimes. And I'm kind of liking it. I've come around on it. So A- is fair. I think I deserve an A-.
I think you need to at least get a little morale boost there with the team.
Yeah, something. It's just there's one missing part. If I had like one more running back, if Chase Edmonds if Chase Edmonds would have got to me, I would have gotten Chris Godwin with my next pick. So if I could have got Chase Edmonds, I think I'd be feeling better because then I'd give up Tony Pollard. I'd add whoever. I don't know. It would have worked out better, I think, if it fell that way.
But I think that's probably going to be everybody on this team. Is everybody in the league is, hey, if I just had one more receiver, if I had a better quarterback, one more,
yeah,
everyone's missing that little bit of depth, unfortunately.
Yep, that's how it goes in this league.
Mm.
Okay, so tune in next week. We're doing a 10-team PPR. The week after that, we're doing a 12-team. Then I think we are done with the mocks. So until then, folks, trust your board.